to Empowered Spirit Healing. My name is Paula, and today I have a very special guest with me. I have Teymara, who is also from Australia. How are you going today, Teymara?
I'm good, really good. What's it like where you are? How's the weather?
It is very hot in Perth, yes. So Teymara and I are on opposite sides of Australia, and yes, it has been boiling hot. How's it been in Melbourne?
Right. Well, we had three really stinkers,
Yes.
really stinkers of days. And so now it's sort of like it's cooled down a bit today, which is just heavenly.
Yes.
But yeah, I'm really happy.
Well, hopefully we're cooling down over the weekend and next week. So it's going to be in like the high 20s, lower 30s. So that's better than the high 30s and the 40s because it's just
the 40s.
I felt so bad for my kids.
My daughter's just about to come home to Victoria.
Oh, is she?
So yeah, so they leave they leave in the morning. So they're driving back, but they've been living in Queensland for the past 4 years.
Yes.
And so she's coming home and she can't stand it up there. So they were living in Hervey Bay.
Okay.
She would just ring me sometimes and she would just go she said, I just want to come home. It's too hot. It is so hot up here. And the humidity, she said, is revolting. Absolutely revolting.
Yeah, it's quite different in Queensland. The humidity is very different to Perth.
Oh, yeah, it is. Yeah, because you've got more of the dry heat.
Yes.
Over there. Yeah. Yeah. So, all right. So,
I really just wanted to talk to you about your journey and how you got into healing, because I'm very, very passionate about healing, very passionate about self-healing and encouraging people to learn how to heal themselves, because that's when you really empower yourself. And that's why I called my business Empowered Spirit Healing, because it's all about empowering yourself. And of course, it is extremely valuable to have healing sessions with other people, because sometimes there's stuff that you can't see or you can't access, or so much, it's extremely valuable. So I think it's good to have a balance of both, learning how to work on yourself, but then also go to others for that help and that guidance. And you've just got so many incredible qualifications. I just would love to hear about kind of your journey and how you got started from, when you were quite young, and how you what motivated to get you into the healing work that you do now.
Okay, it's a long story. When I was 4, I started playing the piano.
Okay.
And music was a very, very huge part of my life right up until I married at the age of 18.
Wow, that's young.
Now, I then walked away from the music at 18. And when I look back on it now, it's like I had that music as a way of me coping with my emotions.
Yes.
Very
healthy way.
Right through the whole of my childhood. And I also danced. So I did ballet, ballet and tap. So I was I had all of this creative energy. Now, what I was to learn many, many years later, when I started working and with the healing and doing the readings and looking into all of the different modalities and what it was that I was interested in, because I had a reading and this woman told me, this is what you are going to be doing.
Wow.
And that was when I was in my early 20s.
Okay.
And so, but what I was to learn was that Pythagoras, who perfected numerology in 545 BC, was also responsible for the musical scale.
Oh, I didn't realize that.
I know. It's like that blew me out of the water. I went, oh, okay, right. There is this link with this man that sort of has just been like a weaving through the whole of my life to do with the work that I do. And when I was a young girl growing up, my mother, every week we had the Australian Women's Weekly.
Yes. Yes.
And my mum would read the stars every week, even though we had quite a religious upbringing. And that was just what mum did. Right?
Yeah.
So,
Same with my mum.
yeah. So for me, when my marriage actually broke down, and I ended up being as like on my own with my daughter, and I was on a pension, and I was cleaning houses to make ends meet.
Yeah.
Okay. And of a weekend, when my daughter was with her dad, or every second weekend, I would be working. So I ended up working at a wonderful, wonderful restaurant here, which was called Rob's Carousel on Albert Park Lake. It was just divine. So I ended up being like the overseer for the whole of the dining room. But we had all of the girls who were waitresses. So I was basically in charge of all of them. And one of the girls came up to me one day and she said, "You're divorced, aren't you?" And I said, "Yes." And she said, she said, "I think it'd be a really, really good idea if you saw my friend who does readings." I went, "Pardon?" And she said, "I think it'd be a really good idea if you saw my friend that does readings." Because she said, I went there, and she said, and how I got to meet her was through having a reading with her. And she told me what was going to be happening with me, and where my life was going to be going. And she said, because I had a man in my life who is now my husband, but he wouldn't commit. And she said, but what she said, and that I'd have a baby, and here I am now, and I've got the baby, and I'm with him. And she said, I think you need to go and have a reading. Well, Teymara made an appointment, cancelled it. Teymara made another appointment and cancelled that. She made another one and cancelled that.
Really?
So yes, because I'm going, this is the work of the devil. I know I can't do this. Yeah.
Programming, isn't it?
So programming.
Yeah.
So then the fourth time she went with me and she took me.
Oh,
and
wow.
This woman said to me, right, you're divorced. You've got a little girl. This is what she looks like. This is how she wears her hair. And you're going to be going through a big court case. And your ex-husband is going to go for custody of this little girl.
Oh.
And I just went, oh, no, he'd never do that. And she said, mark my words, he's going to. And she said, and members of your family are going to side with him.
What?
Well, he worked for my family business. So, and those members of my family that worked in the family business, they were all about money.
Right.
Yeah. So no loyalty to family. It was just all about money. And my father had died. He dropped dead of a heart attack when I was 20. So here I was at 23, and my then husband went in and started working for the family business, handling all of the finances of the financial side. Okay. But she said, I'm telling you something now, don't worry, because you are going to win. And she said, one of the reasons why you're going to win is because, she said, you are not vindictive. You see things in a very, very fair way of being. And your ex-husband does not. He's extremely, extremely vindictive.
Right.
And his goal basically is to try and destroy you because you left.
Right.
Okay. So the reason that I left was because he was actually bisexual, but he was more gay, and he was 12 years my senior. So we started dating when I was 16.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
And he was my music teacher. Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
That's a bit of a scandal.
It was very, 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 very interesting. Yeah, just very, very interesting. And what I was to realize, like when I left and then I did therapy, I had to do therapy with somebody when after I left. And the thing is that what happens with a lot of gay men is that back then, it was like they would get married and have a child because it was called a smoke screen.
Yes.
And if they married and if they did that, they usually went for somebody who was a lot younger or somebody who was very vulnerable.
Yes.
Yeah. So therefore, there would be no questioning of anything. Yeah. So anyway, so she said to me, but don't worry, you will win. But she said, I'm telling you now, there will be quite a few court cases that he's going to take you through over the years until your daughter gets to a certain age.
Wow, that must have been hard.
Oh, it was, yeah. So from the age of 2.5 until she turned 11, there were around about six legal, yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. So every time I got myself on my feet, he would take me back to court and it would wipe me out financially. Yeah. So anyway, so she said to me, you're going to win, so don't worry about it. And then she said to me, now, your work, she said, you're going to study, you're going to get a lot of qualifications. I said, pardon? She said, you're going to study, you're going to get a lot of qualifications. And I went, really? And she said, yeah. And I went, well, look, I said, I left school at 15. I hated it. And I hated exams. Hated exams. So, and I was a kinesthetic learner, whereas the majority are like analytical learners, like left brain learners. That's how they teach. They teach that way. So the little kinesthetic learners, they get left behind.
They do.
So I got through school with all of my creative subjects. I mean, I got like 99 out of 100 for music, 95 out of 100 for art. So all of the creative, yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, she said to me, right, she said, what's going to happen? She said, is you're going to do the work that I do. She said, however, she said, you're going to become very famous.
Wow. You're like, what? You're like, no way.
And I'm sitting there and I'm going, this woman's out of her tree. Right? And she said, you will start out with numbers. And she said, and I'm wanting to tell you that numbers will actually talk to you, because if you believe in past lives, I went, no.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, I'm here like, and, I was Sunday school teacher. So it's like, well, like, no. And she said, if you were to believe in past lives, you were in Egypt. And she said, and you wrote the scrolls.
Wow.
So she said, and you worked with the heavens, with the moving of the planets, and that was what you did. So you don't have to learn to do this.
Yeah.
But it will just show itself to you, and you will then just fall into it. And she said, and numbers will talk to you.
Wow, that's so cool.
I know. So she said, you'll do that. Then you're going to start, then you'll study things to do with planets.
Okay.
which is called astrology. But she said, but you're not going to learn that either. She said, because something will just come up and then you will just look at planets and go, well, that means that, and that means that, and that means that, and that means that. And then when this is in here and that's in here, then this is what's going to happen to this person.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
So you must have prior knowledge of that to a past life, and then it
absolutely
comes through when it's
amazing. Yeah. And she said, and then she said, you will do cards. But she said, you are going to, should I have to say this to you? But she said, I don't want you to be afraid, but you are going to experience like losses in your life. And when you experience those losses, and whoever it is that passes over that's around you in your life, and she said, and I'm not saying that they're family members, but you're going to experience this to do with people. And when they pass over, they're going to work with you from the other side. And it's like something will happen and there will be an opening. So every time this happens, you'll have an opening and you will move to a different level to do with your work.
Wow, that's incredible.
I mean, and I'm telling you, it's like spot on, because I've been a grandmother 3 times, but both of my granddaughters died like as babies. So, and they created a huge, but especially my first granddaughter, because she was 5.5 months when she passed. The second one was stillborn. So I didn't have that connection with Finlay like I had with Brianna. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
But Brianna, and she is like around me all the time. She would be 30. She would be 30. She would have been 33 this year.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so there was this huge like opening, and then I was in this amazing relationship with Australian musician, and he was killed in a car accident.
Oh, goodness.
And there was an opening up again, like around that. So he was at 27. So as I've gone through, so people often talk to me about being developed, that they're wanting to go and be developed, to do this or to do that. And they go like, where did you study? And I said, I didn't. And I said, I've gone, what has actually happened and how I understood it is that we need to have the maturity, the emotional maturity to be able to handle these gifts. I call them gifts, yeah? Yes. And what showed in my charts is that at certain times, certain things would happen, which would then I would then open up to the next level.
Wow. So it's like an activation almost.
It's an activation. It's like an opening of a portal or whatever it is. Yeah. But it's at that time that I had X amount of life experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I was then able to handle the information that I actually got through and knew how to present it to people. Anyway, so she said that this was what I was going to do. Yep. And then she said, there's going to be somebody, and this person comes from America. And this person is going to be out in Australia, and it's a man, and he's an entertainer. And he will be coming to Australia, and his wife will be with him. And she said, you are going to meet this man, and you will actually do your work for this man and also for his wife. And then she said, they're going to invite you to go to America. and you will be there and you will stay with them, and then they are going to open up America for you.
Wow.
She said you won't go into America and have to work hard and pay your dues to work your way up and to be accepted. You will just walk in at that level and you will have acceptance. So she said you'll be on television over there. She said, and you will go over and back, over and back, over and back, over and back, over a number of years.
Wow. How did you feel about that?
Well, again, I thought she was crazy.
Yeah.
Then she said, then with all of this study that you're going to do, and she said, and it's interesting because you're going to do the study in stages.
Yeah.
And she said, and you will just know, I'm interested in this. I'm going to study this. Yeah. That looks interesting. You'll study that. And she said, and it will just come onto your path. People will mention different things and you'll go, oh, that sounds interesting. So off you'll go and you'll study that. And she said, and because it's got to do with like hands-on, she said, because you actually have to experience what it is that you're studying for it then to make sense to you.
And integrate.
Yeah. And she said, and therefore, when you sit for your exams to do it, you won't have a problem. You won't have a problem. So she said, so with all of this study that you do, she said, eventually you are then going to create some form of healing and working with people. And she said, the best way I can describe this is it's like you go to an airport and the people will board an aeroplane. Yeah. And they will board the aeroplane with bringing all of their problems and their life and whatever onto that aeroplane. They will then, the aeroplane will take off and you'll do this journey. They'll do the journey in the aeroplane. And while they're in the aeroplane, she said, it's like you're working with these people.
Wow.
And she said, and then the aeroplane's going to land and the people are going to be totally healed when they get off that aeroplane.
That is amazing.
Of whatever it was that they boarded the plane with. Yeah. Anyway, it all happened. The entertainer was Lionel Ritchie.
Yeah.
And that was in 1987, and that was the Dancing on the Ceiling tour. And I've got the last top that they from that tour, 1987, 86, 87, Dancing on the Ceiling tour. So I've got my big sort of like top that they all wore. So and Lionel, so I read because the Commodores had been out and I had a show on 3MP, which is a radio station here. And every week I would go on 3MP and people would call in and I would sort of like do their numbers and tell them what was going on with them and what was going to be happening.
Oh, that's cool.
And, I know, it was really great. Anyway, the manager of that said, hey, we're 3MP, we actually are like sponsoring or part sponsors of the Commodores that are going to be at the Hilton Hotel. Yeah. So he said, we've got a table. So he said, I want you to come, be a part of the table. And I went, oh, okay, cool. Right. So off I went. Now, Lionel had actually left the Commodores when the Commodores were here. So I was there and we were having drinks after, and the manager of 3MP went up to the Commodores and said, see her? Yeah. She does this stuff. You have to have a reading. She is like amazing. Anyway, a couple of the Commodores just sort of looked and sort of like shied away. But one of them, whose name is William King, and William went, wow, okay. Can you do something now? He went, yeah, she can. So then I sat down and I started, doing his charts, working it all out. And then he went, oh my God, he said, would you mind looking at can you do this for my daughter, even though she's not here? Yeah, of course I can. So I did that, and he went, oh my God, can you just come with me for a moment? He said, I want you to come with me up to my room. I want to ring my wife in LA.
Oh my God.
He said, I want to ring Shirley. He said, I want you talking to Shirley. So I went, yep, okay. So I said to the 3MP guys, I'm off. I'm just going up. I'll be, back in half an hour. So off we went. He rang Shirley. So I did. I was doing all of their reading, their charts over the phone. She's going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. How do you know that? How do you know this? How do you know that? That's exactly my child's like that. My child's like this. This one's like this. That one's like that. Yeah. Anyway, so what happened when they actually left Australia back to LA, they were with Lionel. They went and saw Lionel and Brenda, and Wack. His name is Wacker. William said to them, you've got to see this woman when you're over there in Melbourne, because you're starting the Dancing on the Ceiling tour in Melbourne.
Yes.
And they went, nah, no, we don't believe in that stuff. And William said, I know you don't believe in it, but you just have to see her. Anyway, so what happened is that all of the crew, right, some of the main guys had on their Lionel, the Dancing on the Ceiling tour, and they went up and down Chapel Street here and went into an exclusive menswear store. Well, a girl that I'd helped get her out of domestic violence, she ended up getting a job there.
Oh, wow.
So they walk in and she went, oh my God, Lionel Ritchie, Dancing on the Ceiling tour. And they went, yeah. And she said, so do you guys know Wacker? And they went, yeah. Well, why did you meet, the Commodores when they were here? No. She said, but this lady that has helped me actually read for Wacker when he was here. And they went, what's her name? And she said, Teymara. And they went, we've heard about her. Do you have her number?
Gosh.
Right? And she said, yes. So gave them the number. They rang me and they said, can you please come in to Rockman's Regency, which is, the name of the hotel back then. And so they rang me. It's like, can you come in? And do your readings, because we heard about you through Wacker, but we didn't have your number. And we bumped into this girl in this menswear store.
Oh my God, that is just crazy.
I know. No, this is what I say to people. Right? And I'll give you the moral of the story in a moment. So I went in, read for them. They then told other people that were on the tour. Then I went in again, then read for those people. Then they told other people, then went in again and then read for that lot. And whoever it was that I read for at each time, so the roadies, the musicians, I like everybody. So then they would go to Lionel and Brenda and they would go, you've got to see her. It's like she's freaky. It's the things that she's told us, nobody knew. And Al Sifrin, who was the photographer for the tour, Al's still around in Lionel's life over in LA. So they just kept on going and saying, you've got to, Anyway, so no, don't believe it, don't believe in it. So then the keyboard player, Randy, rang me and he said, right, this is all of his details. This is all of her details. Can you get it all done? And we had tapes back then, and tape it. Come to the last night here, the concert here in Melbourne, and at the ticket box, there will be backstage passes, right? And who would you like to bring with me? Oh, I'll bring my assistant with me. Yep, okay. So off we went to the concert, and that was all very well and good. And then went backstage, and Randy was there, and Randy said, have you got it? And I said, yep. And he goes, right, okay. So he took this parchment, lovely parchment, wrapped in, there. Anyway, as I was wrapping it up, I got a message. And the message was, you have to write this to him. So a piece of parchment paper and I wrote on it, God gives each and every person with a gift. Your thank you to God is to find it and do something with it. His thank you to you is all that you will achieve in the world and more.
Oh my God, that's beautiful.
I know. They told me, right? Them, you know them. So I wrote it out. So when he opened up the parchment, here was this parchment sheet with that written on it. And he just went, where is she? And he said, she's in next door. Go get her. So then Randy comes and he goes, he wants to meet you. And I went, oh, okay. All right. So we open up the door. Now I'm only 5'1".
Yeah.
Okay. I don't know that in centimeters, but I'm the same height as Nicole Ritchie, right?
Yeah.
But Nick is about half my size, width-wise. She's just so tiny. And so they opened up the door, and I used to wear white jumpsuits back then with really weird-looking white shoes with like really weird heels, like I've come from another planet. Anyway, so I opened up the door and Lionel was on the other side of the room and he turned and he looked and he went like a bit startled. He went,
Yeah.
oh, he said, you're her? And I went, yes. And he said, but you're little. And I
You're
went,
little.
yes, like in my 4-inch heels to make me look taller. And he said, and you're normal.
You're normal.
You're normal. And I went, like, yeah. And later on, he said to me, he expected me to be overweight, wearing a big caftan and like a turban on my
Yeah,
head.
right. Oh my goodness.
Right. Because, you know, well, she does this and she does that. So I went over and he went, you know, well, hi. He said, I'm Lionel. I said, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I said,
Obviously.
right. And then he said, come over and meet my wife. So we walk over and Brenda was sitting there and Lionel goes, you know, so Brenda, this is Teymara. Teymara, this is Brenda. And I went, hi. And she was very aloof. It was like, hello. And I went, ooh, okay. Anyway, so then I sat down and he said, so before you start, I have something to say to you. And I went, right. And he said, I don't believe in any of this.
Thanks.
Right? And I just went, right. And I said, well, I'm not a fan of yours and I don't have any of your records.
Oh my God.
So does that make us even?
Oh my God, you're brilliant.
And he just burst out laughing. Brenda laughed. So then Brenda, the chill went because it's like, oh my God, she's not a groupie and not a fan. Yeah.
That was probably a big relief.
Yeah, absolutely. So then we started, he said, well, you know, can you explain this? And I put their charts out and I started talking and then I said something. He went, hold on a minute. Hold on. Can you just repeat what you just said? And I went, yeah. So I said it. And he looked at me and he said, right. And he looked at Brenda and he said, Brenda. And Brenda goes, yeah, I know. And I went, uh-oh. I've obviously said something wrong here.
Uh-oh.
And he said, there are 2 people in the world that know that.
Oh, wow.
Me and her. Okay. So now let's get serious. What are you doing like now? Because he said, we are going to be leaving here because we've finished the concert and everything. And now people will have subsided so we can get in the car and get out of here. And we're going back to the hotel.
Wow.
So what are you doing? I said, well, just going home. And he said, would it be okay with you if you come with us back to the hotel and then we make sure that you know, that you get a cab home? And
oh my God.
Yeah. And I just went like, yeah.
Yeah.
You know, so my assistant was cool. So she went off and she did what she had to do and she left and went home. So then we went back to the hotel and then we just spent time just talking. and his mum was out on tour. And her name is Adele. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman. She had the most amazing hands. And so I sat down with her and I did like a reading with her. And then she came out and she just looked at Lionel and she said, unbelievable.
Wow.
Unbelievable. And he went, yeah. And she goes, oh, no, you don't understand. She just told me things, she said, that you don't even know about my life.
Whoa.
And so that was it. And then they sent me home with a whole lot of names. So I stayed up all night and did readings and recorded them all onto tapes, went back the next day, gave them to them.
Wow.
And Brenda just wrote out, she said, how much do I owe you? I said, I don't know. So she just wrote out a check and put it in an envelope and sealed it and handed it to me. And then just said, this has been amazing. And and we're having the last concert for Australia will be in Adelaide. Can you make it over there? And I said, yes. So I did. Yeah. But, I was so petrified because I'm there and I've got this envelope, and I went back. I drove to my girlfriend's place. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I knocked on the door and she said, and she opened, she goes, how did you go? And I went, she's given me an envelope. She wanted to know how much. Yeah. And she went, right, okay. So what? And I said, she wrote out a check and it's in this envelope. She goes, have you opened it? I said, no. No. Right. And she said, oh, for God's sake, Teymara. And she opened it and she looked at it. She went, holy shit. And I went like, what? She said, how many charts did you do? And I said, 3. Right. And she said, Teymara, now, this was in 1987.
Yeah.
She said, it's $1,000 American. I went, what?
Wow.
What? Said it's $1,000 American. I went, oh my God, I can get myself a car. I can get myself a car because I was driving around in an old bomb.
Yeah.
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 And so.
Oh, were you like crying? I would have cried.
Oh, I was just like beside myself.
Yeah.
So I got myself a car, but I also used a part of that money to fly over to then
to Adelaide.
To Adelaide. And then that night was the biggest hoot because we stayed up all night.
Oh, wow.
And I was just doing people's readings and they'd throw a name at me and yeah.
Oh,
I know it was there. It was absolutely.
Were they really lovely?
They are. They were.
They are, sorry.
They are, yeah. So we've been close friends now since then.
Oh,
Yeah,
it's so amazing.
Then. Yeah. So it's
because you were keeping in touch with them during the fires, weren't you, to make sure they were okay?
Yeah. Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So I did a special protection around his house and around Nicole's house.
Lovely.
And Brenda's house was the one that we had the greatest concern about because the fires were on that side of the 405. So it was like it went up to Brentwood. Now, if it went over the 405, Brenda is in Bel Air. So she is near UCLA. So she's in that area there. Well, I was up every night until late doing like the protection around her. Yeah. So, and then making sure that everybody else, all of my clients over there were okay. And yeah, very, very, very interesting. But, with the shows that I do with Brice, we've gone into that a lot more in regard to what those fires have basically been all about.
Yes. Yeah. I've watched all of them. Amazing.
Yeah. So interesting. So that's basically it in a nutshell.
Oh, what an incredible
as far as my work is concerned, but people saying to me, they said, well, was Lionel Ritchie like the first person that was well known that you read for? And I went, no, No, I said the first one was a Greek singer by the name of Demis Roussos.
Oh, okay.
And Demis was very, very interesting because that would have been when Bubby was about 4. So 1975,
Okay.
right? 1975. He came out to Australia, but I had watched a television special on the ABC or the BBC, and it was about this big Greek singer, and he was in Paris and was with this wife, and they were pushing this pram, and it's this little bag, but the voice of this man, and it was like, oh my God. And I remember sitting there with a friend of mine, and I said to him, I know him. He said, what? I said, I know him. And he said, really? I went, yeah. I said, I know him. And I said, and I'm going to meet him very soon. I'm going to meet him very soon. But he said, but you just said that you know him. I said, yes, I know him, but I'm going to meet him very soon.
So do you mean like you knew him on a soul level?
Yep.
Yeah. Wow.
Yep. And so then about 3 nights later, there was a Don Lane show. And Don Lane is saying, and next week, we've got this amazing Greek singer, Demis Roussos. And it was like, what? Like, oh my God. And at that point in time, I was writing for a New Age newspaper, called Sirius here in the 70s. Yeah.
Oh,
So if people are listening, watching this and been around for a while, right,
yeah.
they will remember, Sirius. Anyway, so I just went, this man has just made just had a huge impression of me. I got all of his albums, and that's that music that's been a part of me. Yeah. So and he was with Polygram Records. So I rang Polygram Records, didn't I, in Melbourne? And I got onto the receptionist, and I went, hi. So hi. I said, Demis Roussos is coming out. Yes. Okay. If I bring a gift in, would somebody please make sure that he gets this gift from me? And she said, absolutely. So I went in and I took in the gift. Lovely, lovely lady who ended up, I mean, go figure, who ended up lived 10 minutes away from where I grew up.
Oh, you're kidding.
In the Dandenongs, yeah. And so we just struck up this friendship, yeah. And talked. Anyway, I gave her the gift. She said, right, now leave all of your details, right? Because she said, I'll make sure that he actually gets it. And I said, okay, great. And so about 4 days later, I get a phone call from her. And she said, would you like to go to the press conference?
Oh, wow.
And I said, pardon? She said, would you like to go to the press conference? And I went, yes, that'd be amazing. She goes, okay, all right. So she said, come in. She said, and I'll give you the pass. Pick up the pass. So, so she told me where it was at. It was in the Majesty's Theatre here in Melbourne. So, so I said to my friend and his wife, I said, this is what's happened. This is where I'm going to go. I'm not sure if I will be back in time to pick up Bubby from kindy. So would you guys mind picking her up? Okay. And they went, yes. I said, and then I will call you to let you know, because I said, I have a feeling I'm going to be asked to go to lunch with them all.
Oh.
And it's like, okay, yep, not a problem. So that's it. So off I go to this press conference. huge. It was packed with all the press. So they went through all of the questions, and then it came to the last question. So I shot up my hand and I went, oh my God, what did I do that for? Right. And then it was Ross Barlow, who had flown down from Sydney from Polygram, and he just went, lady in the maroon. And, and I went, and he said, like, can you please come down here to the front? So like I weaved my way through, and I stood there, and Demis just turned and looked at me, and it was like, oh my God. Oh my God. And I just said, what date is your birthday? And he looked at me and he said, the 15th of June. I'm a Gemini. And I said, yes, I know. And I mean, and all the other journalists are there going like
what the frick are you
who's this? Yeah. And then he said to me, will you do my charts for me?
Oh my goodness.
And I just looked at him and I said, I might.
I might.
And that was the end of the press conference.
Oh my goodness.
So, and then Adrian Baker, who also worked for Polygram, he then came up to me and he said, Mr. Roussos, he said, hi, I'm Adrian. I said, hi, I'm Teymara. And he said, Mr. Roussos would like to meet you.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh, okay. So he went up and he was there and he looked at me and he went, so, and I went, yes. And he went, interesting. And I said, yes. And he said, will you do my charts? And I said, I will. I said, I can do the numerology for you.
Mm-hmm.
I said, all of my books are at home that I need for doing the reading. Yeah.
Yeah.
And he said, okay, do you want to go for lunch?
Oh,
and I said, yeah, thanks.
Yeah, I already knew this was going to happen. So yeah.
I knew. So we went to lunch and did the reading, and then he said, right. He said, so I've got to go to rehearsals to Channel 9 for the John Lane show because I'm going to be on there tonight. So do you want to come? And I went, yes. So off we went to Channel 9. So we walked in, and there's Bert Newton, there's Don, Peter.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, Peter Feynman, and he's then personal assistant. And so Demis is, meeting them and all of that. And he said, and this is Teymara, and she's from here. She's Australian. And all of you, it's like, I'm telling you now, you have to get her to do your charts because she is amazing. Absolutely amazing. So we did the rehearsal. That was cool. And then he said, okay, he said, so now he said, I've got to go and I've got to do this. And I've got things to do at the hotel, but please come back to the hotel. And then he said, I would like for you to be at the John Lane show tonight. He said, when I'm there and performing. And I went like, okay. So I got on the phone, rang through to Philip and Christina and just said, okay, this is what's happened, da, 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 da. So then he wants me to come back tonight for the John Lane show to actually, see him because he said, I'm his good luck charm. So that's, I did and went back. And so that was the start of like the most amazing friendship. Wow. When he was hijacked in Beirut. It's like, and they actually killed one of the hostages on the plane who was an American. He's, of course, his family. So I rang through to Greece and actually found his brother through his brother's business and just said to him, look, you don't know me, but he said, we've heard of you.
Oh, wow.
He's talked about you. Yeah.
Oh.
He's talked about you. So, so whenever he came out to Australia, I would see him. Yeah, it's like, here I am, I'm here, like, come, we're doing this,
And he'd invite you.
So,
That's so special.
yeah. So then what happened is that I said, please tell your mother that he's going to be fine and he's going to be released on his birthday, that they will actually release him and he's going to be fine, right? So, and I said, and I'm telling you, he will be released on his birthday. Well, lo and behold, he was released on his birthday.
Wow.
Right? And the kidnappers had a birthday cake for him. So then I organised with him when he got home. So he rang me. He rang me as soon as he like landed in Athens at home, and he rang me and he just said, "Thank you so much. My mother." Yeah, and I went like you're welcome. You're
That would
absolutely
have been
welcome.
such a comfort to her.
Yeah. And so then what I did is that I then lined up an interview between Ray Martin and Demis.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, for the midday show. And then Channel 9 flew me to Sydney to be a part of that. So anyway, so Demis and I, like, we were right through all of the years. And then in the year 2000, he was single, I was single, flew me over to Athens. I spent Christmas with the family. We went to Paris for my birthday, and then New Year's Eve was in Portugal. And then we had the most amazing relationship for a couple of years.
Oh my God, that's like a movie.
I know, it is.
Oh.
It is, yeah. And then he would ring me and he would say, "I'm going to be in Paris, can you come over for the week?" It's like, yeah, because I wouldn't, because, he said to me, he said, "I would like for you, if it's right for you to come and be here, and then you will take over and you'll be responsible for the running of my home." Yeah. And all of this. And yeah, and it's like, it's just so interesting, because I said to him, like we have, I said, "We have this incredible bond." He said, "We've always had this bond. We've always had this bond right from the time that we met, or what we've always had it." And I said to him, "However, I have my work back in Australia.
Yeah.
I have my daughter, right, back in Australia, and yeah, and she'd had Bubby, and we'd lost Bubby, and then she had the next baby, and she was stillborn, and her dad was dead, and she doesn't have any other siblings." And and I said to him, "I can't."
Yeah. Oh,
I can't.
it must have been such a hard decision.
It's like, I can't, like I can't. And plus I said to him, I said, "I have a home.
Yeah.
I have my own home." Yeah. And I've bought that home, and I have my career. So it's like, I don't need you for a roof over my head, and I don't need you for money. Yeah. So yeah, because Greek men are very, very interesting men. And I can't be controlled.
Yeah.
No, it cannot be controlled. So, and like, as much as I absolutely adore him and still do, and adore his family, like his mother said, "Please marry my boy, please marry my boy." Yeah, Olga, gorgeous Olga, used to bake spatacopula for me. Oh, just loved it. So it's and his daughter, I still have contact with her. We're very, very close. And then then she rang me one day and she said, "T," and I said, "Yeah, I know." She said, "T, what?" And I said, "It's okay. It's okay." And I said, because he had something, he had an illness. And I just said to her, Emily, you can't tell him. Tell it, I said, and keep it very, very quiet. Because I said, if he was to know the full extent, I said he wouldn't be able to handle it. So just keep it just very, very, very quiet. And she said, okay. I said, keep me in the loop in regard to how he's going. And then I found this wonderful card that had a picture of the Eiffel Tower on it. And I wrote him a card and I sent it to her. And it said, can you please, give it, make sure that he gets this. And she said, T, I'm going to go and see him, so I'll take it. And when he actually passed over, I just said to her, I said, Emily, did he get the card? And she said, oh, yeah. She said, I sat at his bedside, and she said, and I read it to him. And I went like, oh, my God, Emily. And she said, yeah. And she said, it was very emotional, T. It was very emotional. And I went, yeah. And then I was staying with Brenda Ritchie in Bel Air at the time that he was ill. And then I was on the phone with Emily. And then one morning I just got up and I was walking from my end of the house up the big walkway up to Brenda's quarters. And he sang, forever and ever you'll be the one that smiles on me like the morning sun. And I went, he's gone. He's gone. He sang, yeah. And I walked into the bedroom and Brenda looked at me. She goes, what's wrong with you? She said, you're white. And I said, he's gone, Brenda. He's gone. I said, he just sang to me. And then the phone went. It was Emily. She was crying. She said, T, I said, I know, honey. I know, he's gone. Yeah.
That's been so hard.
So I became known in Australia because of a Greek singer.
Oh, how's that?
And then America through Lionel Ritchie, and how all of that happened. So the reason that I went into so much detail about this story, which is a small part of my life and what I've experienced, is that we all come in with a journey.
Yes.
And no matter what, God and the universe will work on you actually finding that journey and doing that journey.
Yes, definitely.
But what we have to do is that we have to be open to it.
Yeah.
We have to be open to go with the flow instead of trying to control.
Yes. And plan everything out.
And plan it. I know. Yeah.
Because it limits the opportunities that you can have and where you're guided to go. Yeah.
That's it. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So interesting. Interesting. Yeah. So here I am. And then of course we get COVID hitting.
Oh, yeah. Fun times.
And then with that, it's like I was then inundated with work and I was able to work with people because they were all traumatized. And it meant that I didn't have, people were actually able to come and see me here at the office.
Yeah, right.
Where they go, oh, you only 5K, radius from your house and whatever. And I'm going, what a load of bullshit.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then and then one of my closest friends, she said, there's these people and they're in Miami and they're doing interviews like with people and people are going that they sort of do work similar to yours. And she said, and you're so much better, than you need to be on. And I went, oh, well, if I'm meant to be on, I'll be on.
Yep.
So she made contact and that was Spiritually Raw.
Oh, okay.
Jay and April. So that was my first, this is like early days. Yeah. I think back now. So I did that. And then another one of my friends saw Nicholas, was following Nicholas Veniamin and got in contact with Nick.
Oh, wow.
Said, you know, there's this person. Yeah. And you know, I think you'd be really, really interested in interviewing. So then I went on with Nick.
Yeah.
And then with Nick, somebody saw me on with Nick.
Yeah. He seems like a sweetheart.
Oh, he's lovely.
Yeah.
And I think it was like John Claude, or
Okay.
it
Yeah.
may have been Brice Brice saw me on with Nick.
Okay.
And Brice made contact with me, and then she was doing shows with Janine and John Claude.
Yeah.
So, and then that's how I ended up doing that show with Janine and John Claude.
Yeah.
And that was all about, in the tunnels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that was the most amazing, amazing show.
Yeah.
It was absolutely incredible. Yeah. And it's also interesting because, you know, I say to people, you have to trust the process.
Yes, absolutely.
Right? It's like, it's really, really important to trust the process. And if something is meant to happen, it will. And if it's not, it won't.
Yeah.
I then was invited back on to do another show with them, with Janine and John Claude. And we had problems with the sound.
Yeah.
And it kept on cutting out, and then I would disappear, and then I'd show up again on the screen, and then I'd disappear again. I mean, it was unbelievable. It was so frustrating.
Yeah.
So it's like, okay, and I said, so all right, so I'm tuning off. I'm going, because this is frustrating. So we did that, and then we did another one. We tried for another one.
Okay.
And the third one was worse.
Oh, whoa.
It was worse. And I just went.
So do you think that was spirit just saying maybe it's not meant to be?
It's not meant to be.
Yeah.
I had done whatever.
Yeah, what you needed to do. Yeah.
With them and with their contact with me.
Yeah.
So that particular show was so important for so many people.
Yes.
To understand about the tunnels and about
what was going on. Yeah.
Because that was like the first opening and the first lot of information for a lot of people.
Yes. Including myself. Yeah.
Absolutely. In regard to the Cabal, in regard to the Illuminati.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, you've done your job. Job's done. But the second one that I did, it's like there was a follow-up of that, and it was Brice was there, and Janine was there, and a couple of other people were there.
Okay.
Like all children in this tunnel. Yeah, like getting away, and there was a baby that was born to like a king, somebody who was like very, very like wealthy and whatever, and this particular baby was going to be sacrificed, and it was like, no, we've got to, no, right? So us kids that were a part of all of that group, it's like, right, we've got to escape. We've got to get out. So I actually had the baby in like a sling, like on my back, and I was about 7. You know, I was trying to work out the ages, and I was about 7, and it was so funny because I had this baby like on my back, and then I said, but I've got to take the coins. I've got to take the coins because we're going to need this. We've got to have this money behind us. So I took these gold coins and put them into this sling that this baby was in. And we actually, and we made it, and we were in Holland.
Wow.
So we came out of this long, and it was like the sewer, like that we had actually, or water, like big pipes, and we made our way and we got out, and there was a dike, and I went, oh, there's a dike. There's a dike, okay. It's like we're in Holland. We're in Holland. And then it's like we made our way out, and then there was like these group of adults, and the group of these adults, and it was sort of like they were like freedom fighters or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, like the underground army,
Yeah.
there, and it's like, you children, where have you come from?
Wow.
So they actually took us all in. Yeah. But what I realize is that when we went through that and I experienced that, from that day on, I no longer had problems with my back.
Oh my goodness.
So I was carrying this baby on my back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you were still carrying it with
And
you.
I was still carrying it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I always say to people, no matter what you do, you need to have money behind you. Like, hello.
Yes.
Hello.
You do
I
always
say that. Yeah, I say that all the time to people. And there it was in that particular life.
How
So
fascinating.
then that was basically the end of that story. So I'd had two incarnations that were connected to the child sacrificing. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. So, and then that was it. So I didn't need to be on with Janine and John Ford anymore.
Yeah. Okay.
Besides, it was an absolute pain in the bum when you're all prepared to do a show, and
yeah, and it
just
not
cuts out. And it's like, okay, God's just saying to me, right, you've done what you needed to do. Now just keep on doing your work.
Yeah.
So that's it.
Wow. And now you do your weekly updates on Rumble, which
that was
I love
interesting
them.
because with Brice and I just hit it off like right from the go. And of course, then I did her charts for her. I went, oh, right, this is what it's all about. This is where we connect, da 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 da. Yeah. And then people would say to me, you've got to have your own platform. No, I don't want my own platform. Not interested. No, I'm just doing my work. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. I'm doing my work. I'm working with people. I'm helping people. I'm supporting people. That's what I'm doing. I don't want to have to be doing a show every day, or
it's a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. Yeah. And I said, I'm better off doing this, and then other people, then I'll just go on with them.
Of course.
With Brice. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then in August of last year, I woke up one morning and Spirit said to me, you've got to get your own Rumble. Oh, God. All right. I'm not doing a platform, says me. No, you just have to do your own Rumble, and you have to do this for people weekly, because a lot of people cannot afford to become a member, and all of these people have got paid membership.
Yeah.
And they've got to pay in order then to be able to hear the information. And I went, well, I don't like that. Yeah. It's like, right? And Spirit just laughed and just said, no, well, we know you, and we know that you don't like that. It's like, so you've got to do this for them for nothing. So every week you just do just a brief overview for the week, just to support people through. Yes.
And I love listening to them. I look forward to listening to it every week. And I remember when I had my reading with you, I remember you saying that you just set up a Rumble channel.
Right.
Yeah. So
okay, that was August of last year. Yeah.
Oh, how amazing.
So I've got my wonderful Barton, who is absolutely amazing. He does all of my social media. So I started doing that, and then I thought, I want to do some interviews. I want to interview people like what you're doing with me. Yeah.
Yeah.
So then I've only done one, but it's called Talks with Teymara. Yeah.
I love that.
Just when I find people that are doing interesting things,
Yes.
where it can help and support people. Then
yeah, see, that's how I feel too. I just want to talk to people that are helping others and just kind of share this, because there's so many different modalities out there, and what works for some people might not work for another. So then it's just learning about all of these different ones to find what really works and resonates.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So there we are. So,
oh, how amazing. What an amazing journey.
Yeah, and it goes on.
Yep.
It goes on and it goes on and it goes on. And
you're doing incredible. And I just can't believe how amazing you look at your age. You just look amazing.
Thank you. I don't tell people.
yeah.
I am. No. But I work a lot with, I'm not a great one for taking supplements.
Yep.
Especially hard tablets.
Okay, yep.
But it's like I will do like a smoothie, and if I do have to do any capsules, I just empty the powder like
yes, that's a good idea.
Just mix it all up together. And then I take it that way. If
that's a great idea.
My body, but it's like I love frequency, anything that's working with frequency.
Yes, me too.
Like love it. LBAs, live blood analysis is another good one. And then we do with the frequency readout of the whole of the body. But then I work a lot with patches.
Yes.
Yeah. And I think I said to you, when we first started, that what was it? It's like I go through, we do this test every now and again. I will go in and I'll just want to know how old is my biological age.
Yeah.
So what is my physical age? So, and I did one today, and my biological age is I'm 18 years younger than my chronological age, and my physical age is 26 years.
That's so incredible. And that's just from all the different supplements you've been taking. And do you think the patches have made a big difference?
Well, that's what I've been doing. I've been testing the patches.
Yes.
And I'll be on them, and then I'll stop them.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll go back on. So when I'm on them, I'd be on them, say, for like a couple of months.
Okay.
Then I will go, and then I'll see where I'm at. Okay. And then I leave it for a couple of months.
Yep.
And then see where I'm at.
Okay.
And then start using the patches again, and then do that for another couple of months, and then do the readout again. So now it's like I'm really, really happy as I've looked at my.
That's incredible. To be
I know.
18 years younger and 26 years younger.
Yeah.
Amazing. So how do these patches work? What exactly do they do?
Well, we're not allowed to say.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, we were able to say, but then the TGA in America, and of course here in Australia, they're just the pits here, but even in America, like they're very strict. So they banned people from actually saying exactly what the patches do.
Oh,
I know. So, but all I'm saying to people is, it's like I've seen the difference with me. I've looked at it. I've worked with them, and I just keep on going back and having my testing done to see what's going on, and has this dropped, or hasn't that dropped? But the thing is, what it actually does, it works. There is a frequency there, and it will actually go to the part of the body that is not functioning properly.
Yep.
So what it does, it goes to that organ, and it will work on that organ until that organ is healed.
Wow.
Then once that's healed, then it will go to the next organ that may be malfunctioning, and it will do the work there. So yeah, so a lot of people will say to me, I can't feel I don't feel a lot of change. And I said, no, you won't, because what it's doing, it's fixing you from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And I always used to say when I would be lecturing, or if I did, my seminars, I would say to people, if we had to wear our insides on the outside of our body, we would take a lot of care of.
Oh, yeah. We would live completely differently, wouldn't we?
Totally. But because we don't know, and because of what like Big Pharma have done, what they've done with our food, absolutely love Robert Kennedy Jr. and what he's doing. Because
so exciting.
What he is doing, that's what I've been teaching since 1991. I started teaching about fluoride in water way back then. Yeah. And I would teach about all of the harmful ingredients in skincare and your makeup that actually age you.
Yes. I know. I stopped wearing makeup. Like there's a brand in Australia called Nude by Nature. I haven't done a lot of research into it, but it's meant to be a lot more natural. So I do sometimes just put a little bit of the powder on if my skin's a bit oily, but I mainly and I wear their eyeshadow, and then I just wear like a natural eyeliner, and I do wear a mascara, but I don't wear that every day. But apart from that, I haven't worn foundation or anything for years, because I just,
I use PUR.
Okay.
And it's the most, they've like with my eye makeup, it's from them. My foundation is from them.
Okay.
Like my skin, my skincare is from like another company. But it is all natural. But I had my anti-aging guru that I met in my early 30s.
Okay.
And I had him like all of my life with and he taught me like everything. He was just the most amazing man. And he was an industrial biochemist. So he taught me that I was then able to go and teach in my seminars all of the women that attended what is in the makeup, what is in the skincare.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I go, and all you've got to do is pick it up from the shelf, and if it has propylene glycol in it, or if it has sodium lauryl sulfate or sodium lauryl sulfate, put it down and walk away.
Oh.
Because those two are industrial like chemicals, and they had to wear protective clothing to be able to move the big vats that they had for industry. And if an inspector came and they were not wearing their protective clothing, they would get fined. And yet they're
putting it in the makeup.
Yep, you've got it.
It's just insane, isn't it?
I know. And he said to me, and they had it in toothpaste, so it grows the enamel, it gives inflammation with your gums, it gives dermatitis, urinary tract infections. Bubble baths, like anything that foams up.
Oh.
It's like that is your sodium lauryl sulfate or your sodium lauryl sulfate. And they use it for cleaning grease, like oil of concrete in industry. Yeah. And the propylene glycol, that's what they make antifreeze out of.
Oh my goodness.
I know. So there you go.
How lovely is that? Wow.
Yeah,
well,
really lovely.
I will definitely include the link about your patches below if anybody's interested and wants to.
Yeah, you can, definitely, and then if they want to know more, then they can just send me through a message. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure. And I will tell them exactly what it does. I'm going to have to go because it's tonight, and I've got Brice in 15.
Yes, you're going to be talking to Brice next. So thank you so much, Teymara, for chatting to me. It was so magical listening to your story. I loved it.
But like I say to people, you're a soul in a vehicle. the body is the vehicle that houses the soul. The soul comes into the vehicle in order to have an earthly experience. And what you've got to do is you've got to make sure that you are clear of all of your fears and all of your negative beliefs. Because if you've got fears and negative beliefs, it's going to block you and stop you from doing the journey that you're meant to be doing. Plus fears and negative beliefs age you.
Yes. And that's one of the things I'm most passionate about. So if you're would like to, I would love to do another chat with you and to go a bit more deeply into clearing the limiting beliefs and the fears, because I know that you do all of that in your Born to Be Free program. And I would also love to talk to you about your studying of the Hawaiian Huna. I would love to talk to you more about all of that as well. So that would be great.
Okay, so
thank you so much, Tara.
Thank you. Right, I absolutely loved it.
Really enjoyed it. Thank you. Bye, everybody.
Bye.